Good afternoon, all. It's 4 o'clock, Thursday, August 28th. We are gathered here at an open door to read A Course in Miracles from a non-dual perspective. And where we are is Chapter 6, Section 4, page 245, The Answer to All Questions. Now we're going to try something different today. But before we get started, I will just say our opening invocation and invite us to just be where we are. Center yourself. As soon as I say that, everything starts to move in. Just rest in being. The impulse comes to gather. The quality of how we are together, how we talk, how we share. This is our gift to the world. The purpose of every gathering is discovered in the gathering, in the moment. We recognize beauty and we love what is beautiful. It is all alive. Conversation rises out of every particle. Welcome to this empty table, a cleared space where something new can happen. When you take the hands of someone you love, what do those hands become? Let's take each other's hands across the universe here of really no space at all, huh? So, Livy, your hand is still up. Do you have something that you'd like to share?
I do once we get into it, and I
Okay.
know that you'll
Okay.
want to do an introductory thing. I was so excited about this reading that, yeah. So
Oh, good. Okay. All right. Well, I will say Cindy and I've just had a discussion. I thought I would try and just there's 9 paragraphs in this reading, and just to let people read, see if we can get through the 9 paragraphs. Cindy's admonition was there's a lot of words in A Course in Miracles, and so if we do this every time, it may take us 10 years to get through, but but let's try this today. I mean, we can always do what we need to do. So there are 9 paragraphs. Let's set the intention to try to move along. I mean, we enjoy each other's company, and I don't want to in any way imbalance this in favor of just reading. But let's talk. If we need to talk, that's absolutely fine. But just if we want to get through it, we'll get through it. So let me ask. I've got Chuck and Michelle as people who want to read. Is there anyone else who wants to read today? Livy, do you want to read? Mel wants to read? Okay. Livy. Okay. That's 4 people. If you decide you want to read, just raise your hand. Um, and yeah. Okay. Julie wants to read. All right. We'll see how far we get. All right, so this first paragraph begins, and this is the answer to all questions. The answer to all questions. So we're going to learn here what the answer is. We're also going to learn here what is the question, right? What's the question? So, Chuck, do you want to begin and read paragraph 1? Would you be willing to do that?
I, I,
Yeah.
I'm willing. It took me a while to get the mute.
Okay.
Okay,
All
so
right.
if I'm in the right place, I'm starting with remember that.
That is correct. Take it away.
Remember that the Holy Spirit is the answer, not the question. The ego always speaks first because it is capricious and does not mean its maker well. This is because it believes, and correctly, that its maker may withdraw his support from it at any moment. If it meant you well, it would be glad, as the Holy Spirit will be glad when he has brought you honor and no longer need his guidance. The ego does not regard itself as part of you. Herein lies its primary perceptual error, the foundation of its whole thought system. I think I finished the paragraph.
Great. Very good. Yeah. So the ego doesn't regard itself as part of you. Now, what you does the ego not recognize?
The real self.
The whole self, right? It doesn't regard itself as part of what the one, right? Right? If it did, it wouldn't exist, right?
True.
So it doesn't regard itself as the eternal, holy I am, the invisible, everlasting, right? It just doesn't see it. And that's its purpose. That's its absolute purpose. So that's how it can turn and face itself and know itself again, right? That's the old Christmas present in the closet routine. You know, I put my holy, eternal, everlasting self into a box and I put it in the closet and then I forget it's there and I go about thinking that I'm separate. And then every once in a while, I open the closet and I unwrap my holy, everlasting, eternal self and I go, there you are again. How nice to find you. Right? Over and over and over, we do that, right? Until we don't. Until we don't. As Francis Lucille says, we play this game of cop and robbers all the time. One person's the cop, the other person's the robber. Sometimes you're both the cop and the robber until you get tired of the sandbox and you want to come in to home, right? You want to come to home base. Okay, let's see. Mel, do you want to read paragraph 2?
Yes, I unmute here.
Thank you.
When God created you, he made you part of him. That is why attack within the kingdom is impossible. But you made the ego without love, and so it does not love you. You could not remain within the kingdom without love. And since the kingdom is love, you believe you are without it. This enables the ego to regard itself as separate and outside its maker, thus speaking for the part of your mind which believes that you are separate and outside the mind of God. Did you want me to go on or?
Do you have any thoughts about that?
No.
Anybody have any thoughts? So oneness creates oneness. It extends oneness into everything. There's nothing that is not one. That's why attack is impossible, because love doesn't attack itself. August.
Okay. Apparently someone who didn't, apparently, you know what I'm saying? Someone who wasn't around religion or spirituality growing up, so I have no idea what's going on. And I'm just hearing this random stuff all the time, like the kingdom of heaven is within you. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're now just telling me they were just saying love is within you. They couldn't have just said that. They couldn't have just said that. Or the people. Why wouldn't they just say that? People are out here like looking for some gates or something in Sky Daddy. You know? It was just a feeling. You couldn't just say that? Not you, but like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Anyways,
Oh yeah. Yeah. And so your reaction is a very common one. And it was mine too. If I hadn't done the work that I had done before I started reading A Course in Miracles, I would have said the same thing. But I encourage you to look beyond the Sky Daddy stuff and really focus on what it's saying, because it's saying that you are not separate from creation itself. Nothing is. Now, if you know that, are you living it? And if you're not living it, then maybe it would behoove us to try to move beyond this patriarchal Christian language, which is very much a barrier for so many. And that's okay. You know what? That is totally okay. So like if it pisses you off to hear about the Sky Daddy and you're resisting it, resist it. That's fine. No worries here, August. We're all willing to hear that, you know?
I
But we'll
literally
keep,
don't feel anything because I don't have like religious trauma. I'm just trying to figure all this out and figure out why we
yeah.
couldn't have made this universal for everybody. That's all I'm saying.
Okay,
Doesn't affect
because
me because I don't have religious trauma at all. I don't care what we're calling it. I'm okay calling it God because I never even heard those words. So that
okay.
doesn't mean anything to me.
Anybody else want to like maybe Oddsy? God,
Yeah.
Oddsy.
Hey. So yeah, when I first read A Course in Miracles back started in about 2019, um, I fucking hated it because of the God. I hated it. I hated the word. I hated how it associated because every time I heard the word God, I just had my Christian stuff and I couldn't get past it. Like I had to start in my mind reading this book and replacing that word or any of the words. I had to just replace them in my mind, even to get past it, because I was just too angry. Like I couldn't deal with it. I hadn't had any therapy. When I went to therapy for the first time and they said to me, well, when you get up, what thoughts are you having? I was like, thoughts? What do you mean? There are no thoughts. I don't have thoughts. I'm just angry. I never even could stop long enough to realize that there were thoughts there and anger. And I was so grateful, though, that I kept coming back to A Course in Miracles. I just kept coming back to it. And now the words don't bother me. They don't bother me at all. But I do relate with what August said. It's like, why couldn't you just use love? Carol Howe uses love when she reads her lessons. That's who I kind of, well, obviously that's why I would have coattailed on her, because I loved the way she read it. She always replaced God with love. Usually, I won't say always, maybe a few times she said God, but she was in that state. It was very helpful for me. And then it was helpful to hear people who explained what the ego brain was. And even saying the brain thinking is separate from the mind of God, like even those associations, it can't come in when Audrey's angry and seeing her own meanings to every word. Nothing can come in. And that's why when I read it now, it's I was reading last night, in fact, chapter 7. I read all of chapter 7, and it was just like reading um, a good book that you would read. There was no mind in there saying, "What does that mean?" Oh, it was just such a beautiful reading. So I understand that, August. And for me, it's like, oh, we should rewrite it without all of that. Like, here's another distraction, right? Rewriting the course. But all of that is part of the process and is perfect. So I'm grateful for it all. And thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that you shared that because actually, this is exactly what I was talking about. I'm personally not offended by words whatsoever. It's more so like, why is this not information not being made accessible for everyone? If we know that certain frameworks have been imposed on society, as you mentioned, the patriarchy and whatever, where there's like people are hearing there's a kingdom and they're like looking here, being like, where is it? Like, what kind of direction is that? Saying it was love, they would have been like, oh, well, that's something I feel within me. Do you know what I'm saying? This is what I mean. All that could have been avoided. At the same time, everything's going according to plan. Whatever. But you get what I'm saying? It's literally take the example right here with Audzi. You're cool AF for sharing that. Thank you.
Yep. Yep. I mean, Helen channeled this. She's an atheist Jew. She channeled it in the 60s, right? She's a part of the culture that she was brought up in. And so it's this truth that's coming through this human mind that's had this human experience, and it's just the way it came out. So you gotta find the gold in the stone. And the gold is, yeah, it's covered up with all this language and this you know this stuff, but that's why I'm still with it, because there is so much gold in there. But you do have to wade through the stuff, as Oddsy said, and I had to. There's so much God the Father and all that stuff, and I was just like, oh, I am not having that. I am not having that. And so it took me a while, and I would change the words, I would change the pronouns in my mind. Um, but again, I'm like Audrey, I'm really glad that I stuck with it. And so it's not the only truth, it's just one way of reading the truth. And there's a lot of dross in there, but getting through it. I mean, this second paragraph is saying, if you are God, which you are, you're an extension of God's being, then you can't attack yourself. That's what the second paragraph is saying. Only in a dream of separation can that appear to be true, right? The kingdom is love. It's the same thing. That's what this whole paragraph is saying, right? When God created you, when love extended itself into the seemingly separate human body to have the experience of looking at itself from material form, right? It never separated itself. That's what this paragraph is saying. That's why you can't attack yourself and why you shouldn't attack any other person, because that person is you. That person is God. That's what this paragraph is saying, right? Right? But the the part of love that which is infinite and can present itself in infinite variations wanted to experience what it would like to be not love. Can you ever do that? No. But it decided, well, what if I could? And that's the ego. Okay. But is the ego real? No. Cindy.
Oh, I just realized I was unmuted already. I just sad emotional. Um, where others have maybe gotten a distorted view of the word God. Some of us were traumatized by that word love. So every time you replace God with love, something inside me contracts a little bit. The idea that love is a neutral term and God isn't. I just really kind of wanted to state that as long as you're attached to what the word is, all of these words can have some sort of distortion. All words, by definition, sort of can be distorted. So I just wanted to put it out there. The guides said if you have a problem with the word God, replace it with it. It simply is.
Yep.
And that works. And actually, for anyone who hangs out with me, you know I use that word love a lot. It's being neutralized, but I'm not ready to replace it with God yet because there's still stuff, there's a whole bunch of stuff in the closets relative to what I was taught love is, and it's being healed. So I just really wanted to state that this sense that love is a neutral term, for many of us, it's not.
Okay.
So, yeah, every time in these meetings, we end up changing the word God to love. I actually feel some level of pain. So I just kind of wanted to say that. I like Brahmin because it was not part of my history. I love the Tao. I love the word it. I love consciousness. I actually like God because I've done my work with it. But love itself, I love my mother. I love my father. I love my friends. And there's things that happen here when it's not returned and all sorts of things. It's not fully divine yet, that word. So I
Whatever
just
works, whatever works.
whatever works. But just to make it, when I hear us talk about it like a universal replacement, I raise my hand going,
It's the indivisible, unlimited, infinite. It's the triple
indivisible,
I.
infinite.
It's
Yeah.
I cubed, invisible, infinite, and
Joe calls it the individuated, yeah, whatever. At this point, yeah, yeah. I love
okay.
us. Here we go.
And it's ineffable. Yes, it's the ineffable. We can call it the noumenon. We can call it, yeah, the ineffable. Sandra, you had your hand raised.
Hi, everybody. The first time I tried to read the Course in Miracles, I ended up throwing it in the trash. I wouldn't even donate it to anybody. But anyway, what I have learned, and I don't know if this will help anybody else, but as I picked it up again, maybe 10 years later, and as I've been into it, and it's not just this course or these words, it's any teaching. As long as the ego wants to get in there, it's going to find something wrong with everything. It doesn't matter what you call it. You can come up with a word that doesn't mean anything. It's just the ego loves to find what's wrong in something, and it helps to maintain separation. It loves to, I have found that before I listen to a speaker, before I enter these meetings, before I open up the book, I have a conscious intention to be open and teachable to the truth that is being spoken, and that my heart would resonate with truth, and to turn my attention to that and not allow that stuff to interfere. I also do this with people coming to my home now. Before they enter, I bless them, open to the beauty of their being, and not be distracted by anything else. And so now when I read, as Odsy said, she just read the chapter. Now when I read, the truths leap out. I don't look for any falsehoods or any contradictions or any trigger words. So I just thought I would share that. There's, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet.
Mhm.
It's the aroma. It's not the name.
I do want to say, thank you for that, Sandra. It's a good reminder. I do want to say, though, that, and this is just how it was for me, part of my rejection of the language was because I so yearned to hear the truth, right? So I would say to August or to anyone, the rejection is it's actually its own call for love, right? Because we so know the truth is there somewhere and we want it. We our whole heart is looking for it, right? And we want it. We want it because, and we will recognize the truth when we see it, right? And yet, as Sandra said, the egoic mind will get in there and say, I don't like that word. And as Audrey said, I don't like that word, and I don't like that word. And it will focus on those words. And it's okay if, don't fight the ego. If that's what the ego wants to do, let it do it. But do also hold your heart gently and know that your heart is just looking for the truth. That's what it really, really wants. Yeah. Okay.
I don't think there's mistakes when this was downloaded by Helen. I think came the way it was supposed to come.
Yeah.
And it's up to us to just
Yeah.
work with ourselves to hear it.
Yeah. So no defending, no offending. Let's just, I appreciate your bringing that up. And that's what this space is for. All right. So, Audrey, I'm so glad you've joined us. Now, Michelle said she would read, and we're on paragraph 3. So, Michelle, do you want to read?
Sure, I would love to. My video is not working for some reason, so I will read behind my screen here.
Okay.
That's
So,
okay.
as Michelle is reading this, this is the first question that was ever asked, right? And the first question that was ever asked is, what am I? Now, as Michelle is reading, what is it? Think about what is it that asked this question? What am I? So let's read it and see what we come up with.
Okay,
Take it away.
Okay, paragraph 3, right?
Yep.
But through the ego, you can hear and learn.
No.
Oh. Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong. Okay. Okay, the ego then, right?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, the ego then raised the first question that was ever asked, but it can never answer it. That question, which was, what are you, was the beginning of doubt. The ego has never answered any questions since, though it has raised a great many. The most inventive activities of the ego have never done more than obscure the question because you have the answer and the ego is afraid of you. You cannot really understand conflict until you fully understand one basic fact that the ego does not know. The Holy Spirit does not speak first, but he always answers. Everyone has called upon him for help at one time or another, and in one way or another, and has been answered. Since the Holy Spirit answers truly, he answers for all time, and that means everyone has the answer now.
Okay. Let's stop here for a second. Anybody have any thoughts about the non-dual aspects of this paragraph, of these 2 paragraphs? Right. So let's just, I'm going to start and then just jump right in. So how is it that this Holy Spirit, now the Holy Spirit is a Christian term. What is the Holy Spirit? It's the aspect of your original source, of the original source, which resides within God's mind, which is what you are. That's what the Holy Spirit is. It's not some guy out there that's like waving around and, reminding you, tapping you on the shoulder. It's in you. It is you. It is the memory, the link, which isn't even that. It's not even a thing, right? It is your whole self. That is what the Holy Spirit is. And how is it that it always answers? Because it never left, because it never was not, right? It always answers because it is always there. It's just covered up with thoughts and other things that the mind that thinks, the part of the mind that thinks it's separate, which is still God's mind, is having fun playing in the sandbox, like playing cops and robbers, right? Yeah, boom. So truth is eternal. That's why it always answers every question, right? What is true is always true and always has been true. That's why you'll never understand conflict, any conflict, until you know this, because you will believe the conflict is real, right? There is no conflict. We can play with conflict, we can have fun with it, but there's no conflict in oneness. It's all just movement. Livy.
I was gonna actually wait till we got to paragraph 6, but I'm just gonna go ahead and just jump in anyway. I mean, for the majority of my adult life, I really thought I was crazy. I really thought I was just out of my mind. And I remember saying to somebody, I don't know who I am. And then, and I needed, the ego told me I needed validation outside myself, which always kept me feeling separate and less than, and kept me in separation. And it used shame,
Oh,
especially very closely knit to my body, where used that to a big way, to the point that I had commented one time, it's like that I felt separate within myself, not just separate from you, but within my own body, I felt separate from myself. And that's really not a hunky-dory place to be.
Mm-mm.
And that's why this is the recognition of the past 2 years. It's just, for me, it's been a process of really being led by the heart, and sometimes in a way that's been the strongest I've ever experienced, because there hasn't been the distractions that I had for decades until 2 years ago. And it's really been like my heart and the Holy Spirit getting my attention,
yeah.
and helping me see the shame, helping me see how it's used, that as and the validation from other people, everything had to do, it wanted me to look outside for everything, nothing within.
Yeah.
And that's one reason why this really spoke to me. And it is, and it's not, it used to feel like going into war within myself to save myself from myself. And now it doesn't feel as much like a war as it does as, well, isn't that silly?
Mm.
So it goes away from the, to where it's kind of calming down, going, oh, there that goes again. And I'm grateful that the miracle for me is catching it quicker, following. There's this story I started to follow in my mind the other night, and it was just a really short paragraph, and it started out like this, and then it went to, who's even thinking this? That's not even, it's just the ego trying to make up a story that's not even true. I used to tell people I am believing things about myself that are not based on any kind of reality whatsoever, and so it's just incredibly affirming,
Yep.
So
Yep.
I'm so grateful that it's good to be the good kind of crazy. I was not the good kind of crazy. So I'm grateful to, yeah. So wonderful. Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. You know who you are.
Yeah. Thought patterns are memories, thought patterns of shame are among the most debilitating. They feel like death. They just feel like death. And they're very, very low frequency, very low, 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 low. Like just about they're just about non-movement. Just about total and complete stuckness. And
Yeah, I would literally feel paralyzed.
yeah.
With fear, like
Yeah.
I could not move.
Yeah, shame is a very heavy duty drug. Chuck and then Patricia.
Yes, so be quick. It seems like it's a reinforcement of what we just had in lesson 106 to me. What I'm hearing is that there's no will but God's. I shared with him and said, my conflict's about, and it's an empty space. You put in whatever you want there, and it can't be, it's got to be an illusion. Am I on the right? Am I
Yep,
hearing that correctly? Or
yep,
I
yep,
just wanted to verify I'm on the right.
yep, absolutely. There is no will. There is no other will.
And so everything has to be an illusion that you're creating in your
Yep,
mind.
yep. There is no other will. Even the illusion is God's will,
Yeah.
right?
Ooh.
Once you figure that one out,
Oh, thanks for
you're
throwing that.
really, yeah, yeah. Patricia.
Thank you. Good to be here. My apologies for being late. Acupuncture and Ubers. That'll do it.
Mhm.
So again, my apology. Well, the thing that confuses me though is that there is a reality that conflict exists. I can have a conflict with my partner and it's real. Now I can say, this is just a story I'm making up, but the experience is conflict. It is low frequency, if you will. And she's not on the same page I'm on. She doesn't follow this stuff the way I do. She was an academic and studied religion and philosophy. So she has an intellectual, pardon me, understanding of it all. So, but when there's conflict, there's conflict. It's not fun. So
No,
it may be illusion, but my experience is that it's real and God is real. And I heard something from Richard Rohr where he was talking to Oprah Winfrey, talking about the Christ, the universal Christ. And one of the things he said, let's just talk about God as the holy mystery. And I love that. So the holy mystery that lives within me can be in conflict or engaging in conflict. I can walk away from the conflict, but it's still happening. It doesn't just go away.
no, it doesn't go away. But what happens when you look at the other person as yourself?
Mhm.
So who are you in conflict with?
Okay. That's a perspective I have difficulty with because I see it only as a projection.
It's
I'm projecting that on to someone else I may be having conflict with.
it's always only one of us here. There's always only one of us here. That is true in this entire Zoom. There's only one of us here. Oneness manifesting in many different forms and enjoying the differences. And sometimes the differences express themselves as apparent conflict, right? But there's never anyone else.
Okay, so when you have some difficulty with your husband, there's a conflict there.
We
There's
have
only one.
we have conflict and emotions arise in me and I can feel, you know, all this stuff that happens, and I know even as it's happening that it's all God expressing itself. It's
Okay.
all the eternal indivisible just expressing itself through both of us, right? And
Okay.
and that sort of takes me into another space, and I can have fun getting angry, but it's not me getting angry. The feelings of anger are arising, but I can identify with them or not. If I want to go down that rabbit hole and get all upset, I can get lost for a day, you know. But if I can say, oh, and most of the time this is what I do now. It's just, oh, this is what's happening. I'm arguing with myself, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm arguing with myself and I must be enjoying these feelings of anger. Oneness must be enjoying this 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 emotional fuel because it's just fuel, you know? And it must be enjoying the feeling of this fuel. Or this wouldn't be happening. Right? And it's just not personal. It's not personal.
But what happens if Spike doesn't agree with you that it's not
That's
personal?
that's not my problem. I don't need him to agree with me. I don't need him to validate me. I know who I am,
Okay.
right? I don't. Do I need your love? A la Byron Katie? No, I friggin' don't. I am love. You are love. You're just forgetting. I just look at him. He's forgotten who he is, right? He's just forgotten who he is. I just forgive him that, right? But that doesn't mean I need to forget who I am. In
Hmm.
fact, every single time I remember who I am and I stay in the love that I am, I don't have to say anything. I don't have to react. I don't have to do anything. I can even walk away and it'll always resolve itself. Every single time. Always does.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's worth chewing on for
Yeah,
sure.
it's worth chewing on. Yeah, it takes practice. It definitely does, you know. And we all succeed and then we fail and then we succeed again, you know. Oddsy.
Sorry. It's hard to click the button sometimes when you're shaking, and some days I shake more than other days, so I can't quite click it. I should try the space bar maybe. Um, so I love this, but I not, but I just had this thinking of when I first started with the Course in Miracles and all of this, I never would have believed what you said, Amy. I would have never believed it. I would have been like, whatever, lady. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I do.
yeah, exactly. I would exactly be like,
I do.
screw you. And I think now I realize that it's because I had to have my own experience of it. I have to actually be a witness to it for there to even begin to have uh, the remembering to be allowed to even happen. I guess that's part of this whole ego construct, I guess. So that experience can happen even without practice. Because I know we say we have to practice, but what I've realized is when I was trying to do the practices, that was what was getting me in more trouble because it was still Audrey trying to do something that I thought I wasn't already.
Mhm.
So inside, I wasn't even, I didn't have any belief that I was part of the oneness. I was still a separate being. And obviously I still believe that because I'm
Yeah.
seeing all of you, but I don't want to even put that on to say, obviously, I still believe that. I don't know that. And before I thought I knew so much. I thought this character was so smart and knew stuff. And I was confident and I knew it, but I knew there was also cuckoo land going on here. So for me now, there I want to do stuff again. Like I want to read. I'm just picking it up to read it, or I'm saying a mantra, or oh my gosh, last night, yes, I was retelling something that's happening in the family to my husband, and I got so mad about it. I'm like, now I'm mad talking about it. And I'm like, I don't even want to be mad. Like, why do I even want to be mad? I don't want to talk about it then. And I stop and breathe, and it's like, oh, where'd the story go? Before it would be perpetuating on and on. I'm like, come on, where are you? And it's like, wow, how refreshing is that to have happen? And I didn't do anything. I did nothing and continued to talk about it with Mike last night. Um, and it's just, you're so right. In the past, like everything does just resolve itself. But in the past, I wouldn't have been here probably today if that happening last night because I would be so enwrapped in it because it's such an awful thing, or at least I think that. I wouldn't have even been, it would have made me sicker and sicker and sicker. And this, to me, is the relief that has come from just being in these experiences and now having grace get to be upon me. And I'm like, oh my God, Amy, you are right. And if there's people listening thinking, fuck us, well, fuck you. It's true. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we only have 10 minutes and I know we've got some other hands raised, but I want to get to a couple of points here. One of the things that it talks about in paragraph 6 is the body. And it says, I'm just going to read this. It says, perceiving something alien to itself in your mind, the ego turns to the body. The ego turns to the body, not the mind, as its ally, because the body's not part of you. This is a really important non-dual concept. Now, the ego is just an idea. The body is just an idea. One of the wonderful teachings in the non-dual teachings is, how do we know I'm not my body? How do I know that? Because it's so convincing, right? The body just, it seems to be so real, right? Doesn't it? So what the non-dual teachings say, and this is exactly what is said in paragraph 1 here, is, what is it that is constant? What is it within your experience that never changes? right? What is it that's everlasting? What is it that always answers? Always, always. We go in to find that. We go in. There is something that never changes. It's the awareness I am. And this is a constant teaching. It's the awareness I am. The awareness I am, which does not change. It is the same awareness I am that I had when I was 14, when I was 12, when I was 6. And then we ask, does the body change? Yes, on its face. It's evidential. The body is constantly changing. So can I rely on the body to tell me what the truth is? Fuck no, right? No, I cannot. Excuse my French. Can I rely on my emotions, which change all the time, to tell me what the truth is? No, 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 I cannot. Can I rely on my sense of smell? No. Can I rely on what I hear? No. Nothing the body tells me in all of its senses can tell me what the truth is. Only the I am, which is the whole I, the whole I. How do I find the whole I? I go in. It says the ego always speaks first. Yes, it does, because it's clamoring away for your attention. It's always going to tell you blah, 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 blah. Oh, the words in this thing just really piss me off. Oh, I don't like that word. I don't like this. I don't like that. No, go in. Does this resonate with me? Does this resonate? Can I investigate, right? The body is not me. The body and the ego is an idea. It is not a thing outside you. It is not some kind of energetic entity that you're fighting with. It's an idea. It has no form, no shape, no nothing. But the ego, the idea of ego, and the idea of body, which seems to exist in material form, those two things intertwine and they reinforce each other so beautifully. How do they do that? Because the mind that created the idea, the mind in which the idea of form and the mind in which the idea of a separate ego arose is a brilliant mind. It's God's mind. That's why it works so well, because only God can fool itself, right? Only God can seem to have a dream in which God can fool itself, but it's only a dream, and God is never fooled. Love is never fooled. The absolute is never fooled about itself. It's never unsure of itself, right? So this is where we come to this understanding in this paragraph. I'm going to ask Libby, who said she wanted to read, I'm going to ask Libby to read paragraph 9. Would you do that?
I'll be happy to.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking. When you awake, you will see the truth around you and in you, and you will no longer believe those dreams because they will have no reality for you. But the kingdom and all that you have created there will have great reality for you because they are beautiful and true. In the kingdom where you are and what you are is perfectly certain. There is no doubt there because the first question was never asked. Having finally been wholly answered, it has never been. Being alone lives in the kingdom, where everything lives in God without question. The time that was spent on questioning in the dream has given way to the creation and to its eternity.
Being alone lives in the kingdom. Being is the kingdom. Being is the kingdom. Being knows itself for certainty. This is the non-dual teaching. What do I know above all else? I know that I am. I know that I am here. That is the certainty of the kingdom. I know I am. Right? And I know that you are the I am. Being alone lives in the kingdom. There is nothing other than being. So when I fight with my husband, I know that he is being in the kingdom. He is being. He just has forgotten. Why do I want to fight with an illusion? I'm just reinforcing the illusion, right? When I fight and I'm only making his illusion seem real for me. It's not real. When I experience shame because I've allowed someone else to convince me that I'm something that I'm not, right? Why would I want in my sane mind to believe that their judgment when they're asleep and in ignorance, when their judgment about me is true? No. Why would I do that? That's insane. That's an idea that is not true. I go back to my certainty. I am certain of what I am, and nothing can take that away. It was given to me. It is my inheritance. Right? Right? Yes, I'm a human being. So that is the answer to all questions. The answer to the all questions is being alone is in the kingdom. There is no question except that part of the mind, the idea, which says, I have forgotten what I am. What am I? And then the whole world follows. Right? Next week, we're going to read section 6, The Call to Awake. That's why we're here, right? The call to awake. That's where we'll be. All right. You are as certain as God. That's the first line in the call to awake. You are as certain as God. Right? You are as certain as the indivisible, invisible, eternal, infinite. You are as certain as that. So that's where we'll start next week. I thank you all for being here. It's been a great discussion, my goodness. Oh, so let's just center and know that I appreciate you. I love you. You are myself. I see you. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, fire worshiper, lover of leaving. This is not a caravan of despair. The ego is not driving this caravan. Right? It does not matter that you have broken your vow, that you've let the ego get in the driver's seat. It doesn't matter. 1,000 times that may happen, but still come and yet again. Still come and yet again. So we'll see you next week. Much love, much love, much love. In the kingdom where you are perfectly certain, there is no doubt. So go. Enjoy.
Thank you, Amy.